Everybody, welcome to this week's episode number 180 of the best lumber commodity podcast in the world, uh, in the United States, in North America, probably now since I own SpaceX in the universe. Um, so, Matt, Greg, we're doing us three today. Couple of notes I wrote down before it. I wrote market question mark. I wrote futures, November discount with all of the people that got into that. All of the fans of the long September, short November trade that got in and made some money. When are they going to get out of that one? I wrote the term down here. Have what edge do we have right now? Forward numbers being thrown all over the place. Greg, you were too negative last week. I've got that one written down from feedback that you gave me.
You can look forward to me being more negative this week.
Southern yellow pine. We've got one particular buyer just beating the Tom's to us tell us how it's going to be up like $50. We're getting SPF orders others over Southern yellow pine tariffs. I wrote, who cares? And Euro and the Cape and just general items and all. That's where I started at. Anybody else care?
I mean, that is a long laundry list. I mean, I want to start out with new home sales yesterday came out down, not a great number. And it ties into that, what we've been talking about all along is demand is what it is. It is what it is, as they say. It's not any better. I mean, it hasn't really fallen off, but it's certainly not any better.
A little punky.
Do you think yes, a little punky. Remember the punky QB known as McMahon back in the 80s?
Well, what's funny is the whole year it's been punky. If you just look at the stats for the year, it's been pretty consistent. Demand has been consistent really for 2 years now. And the only thing that's changed in our world is supply. And that probably will continue to change. It's the math isn't mathing everywhere. So, I mean, I don't see demand falling off a cliff. I also don't see demand rushing in all of a sudden either, right? I mean, so we're running at 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, kind of a variable rate up depending on which month they publish and how good the stats are, who you believe. But we've been like that for, a few years.
3 years. It's 3 years now. We're at basically mid to low 1.3 housing starts. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, and I don't see any driver of change really. That there's a lot of competition amongst our customers. So sometimes it gets lost in the weeds here when we're talking about our positions and what we think about the market. Sometimes we don't always touch on what our customers are going through and what their customers are going through, which is the builders. And so there's just a tremendous amount of competition right now at that level. They're getting squeezed hard. The builders are being squeezed also. Now, that's just the nature of our business cycle that we're in. They were feasting when COVID years, right? Everybody made a lot of money all through the chain. And now we're all having to tighten our belts back up again. The only segment of the marketplace that is actually really having any real success in the last 2 years would be Western sawmills, U.S. Western sawmills that don't have a tariff on them. They're not printing money, dude. It's not like we're wealthy. But there is a small margin in lumber production right now. And then the distribution chain, people that are holding material and willing to put money in inventory and supply customers on short notice. So that's about it. Everybody else is struggling, and it's going to be more of the same going forward. And I think we will lose more production in 2027 from various locations. And also the math with the Euros isn't really mathing either. So you can't expect them to come in and rescue us on a bunch of cheap, prime lengths of pretty lumber coming into 2027 either.
That's a good point. Go ahead, Greg.
I'm going to go. So, next week's, kind of the pre-holiday Labor Day weekend week. I think if I want to talk about spruce a little bit, some items that sold off quite a bit. Your 2x4 9s in particular appear to have bounced off of the low trading level, and we're selling, I don't know, 10, 15, maybe $20 above the low trade. I mean, there's some other items, overvalued items, and Matt, you probably come into play on this, is 2x6, 9, and 10-foot trims are, you're still getting some really, what I consider good numbers for, the truckloads is going to ship in a week or two. But we are certainly hearing that U.S. species are starting to undercut that Midwest, Texas, and even into the Southeast by, significant dollars.
I think that's kind of going back up again. I mean, just based on today. 2 days ago, I think was sort of the bottom of 2x6, 9, and 10-foot trims out of the West. Yesterday, they started getting a little bit more exciting, and today we've had a tremendous bit of follow through, and we're getting higher. We're getting, to your point, $20 higher today than we were late yesterday, and there's more volume. So there's, the news is out there somehow. Whatever lumber chat room,
because
those
those are trading at $50 to $80 discounts to spruce or more.
Yeah, and now they're trading at $30 off their highs. So the discount had gone down probably on 2x6. I think some of the Western mills had dipped down into like $65, $75 off range from the highs.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're 30 off from the highs and stabilized and going back up again. So there's a tremendous feeding frenzy going on right now on Western species, ESLP, whitewood, hemp fir, Doug fir, 2x4 9s, 2x6 9s, 2x6 10s, and a little bit, haven't seen it quite as exciting on 2x4 116s, but that'll probably be next. 92s are the one thing that are probably still available that you can negotiate a reasonable price on, but you're not going to get the low wish price that you thought you were going to get 2 weeks ago. There wasn't very many 92s blown out like really cheap. There was just enough to get the mills to deal with what they had right in front of them, and that's gone. Now they switched their focus to 2x4 9s and 10s, 2x6 9s and 10s, and that's the winning trade now. It's back in favor of the producers.
We saw. I mean, I know we talked a couple of weeks ago that we thought that green Doug fir had bounced. I did see that the index printed it down across the board midweek. I mean, was that just kind of a little short covering?
I think it was. It was a bit of a dead cat bounce, but then we got another one. So as we speak,
another dead cat. You got two dead cats.
We're now, I think, to the point where we feel like the bottom's been achieved and we're actually going up a little bit. So the volume of orders has changed significantly here in the last week and a half in the room. This is not just on green, it's just on everything. So we're much busier this week and last week than what we were the previous week. When I came back to work after being gone Monday and Tuesday last week, it was not a very good tone. The morning meeting was not happy. And I kind of made the offhand flippant remark like, hey, it's going to get better. Don't worry about it. And it has gotten better. It's gotten a lot better. So, guys that couldn't imagine higher prices 2 weeks ago are all of a sudden getting higher prices on some things. And it's not across the board. I still make the observation that 2x4 is the most undervalued thing in the whole universe, 2x4 dimension. And then everything else is overvalued compared to it. But, that's just my personal opinion. So I'm looking more for value on 2x4 personally.
So I'm looking at the calendar. Ashley came in. I was talking to somebody. Was it yesterday, Ash, or the day before? I was talking to somebody, and I'm going, hey, it's week before Labor Day. I think market trying to find some trading levels. Some things will bounce. I'm saying, hey, when I look at the calendar, I go, what kind of rally can we really have over the next 45 to 60 days? Mills have just come off the best months in terms of pricing in June and July that they've had in several years. Everybody's got logs. And I mean, the seasonal for price is not positive for October, November.
Yeah.
So it would well, and but that's so negative, and go like, you're more negative than I am. And I'm and that having been like Ash and I, we're like volume, like to your point, there's volume of business every single day.
Yeah.
Are we, I say quote unquote aggressive. Are we aggressive? Yeah, probably, because we would rather turn inventory right here than think that we have some massive fall rally coming. And, and I keep walking into Ash's office. I go, hey, if there is a massive fall rally, that would be really great.
Yeah. I don't think we will get a massive rally at, probably till next winter, or early next year. I could see that happening again. But I do think we're going to have a few medium-sized rallies here between now and Thanksgiving. And
have you talked to the guys that trade futures about this? Because they're not buying in on this.
That's fine. Look, dude, I think futures is a little bit of an overreaction to the downside right here, and I'm fine as a buyer. I think futures are tremendous value, like especially if you've got forward business. You want to, Ashley and Greg, you guys have done this for years. You go out and offer a bunch of fourth quarter 9-footers at a discount, and you just use the November contract as your basis. That's a genius thing that you've done for a long time, and that's a great seller right now. Look, if you want to lock in some nines,
all that really does is rock people back. There's nobody that's lining up for that. That's just kind of like they go turtle head on us, Matt.
I understand, but it's available to them if they actually wanted to pay attention, right?
They're going turtle head on us right now.
Yeah, and as a buyer, I think November. Typically, I like to be short November, but now that it's gone down into what was it today, Greg? 550 something.
It's 555 right now.
Yeah, 555. That's basically the utility number 3 price right now.
Yeah.
And so once again, whenever the price of 2 and better lumber runs into the price of utility, I tend to pay attention. It's like, okay, it's catching my eye. So like there to me is value at 555. There's value at 565 in September. I look at those numbers as like, wow, that's a heck of a deal. Like I don't see a lot of, it's a good one. Yeah, Greg, we got to work on your high-speed internet.
What happened?
Your internet was
up really hard.
You sounded like you were Max Headroom on us a bit ago.
Well, that's how I disguise some of my comments.
I mean, every rally, I do think that the general trend is going to be down. We'll have some $50, $60 rallies, and then it'll just tail off. And you go into the doldrums of fall and winter trading. The one bright spot is that nobody wants to carry inventory, right? And so that hasn't changed. That's not going to change. It allows the guys that are willing to buy some inventory a chance to be strategic and, kind of go into sniper mode. And when you can spot the imbalances, go ahead and, fire some bullets into it and then just see what happens. But the idea that you want to go, ultra long at 565, 555, probably not. If that's what your game is, like just buy and hold, probably not. But buy and flip, yeah, go ahead, do that. We're gonna have plenty of opportunities to be liquid for the rest of the year.
But listen, if you got a lot of business taken right now, and I noticed this, I was at an event last Friday with a bunch of framers, and large framers in the Midwest, right? One particular guy told me I buy 20 in the Midwest, I do 20 jobs a year with an average lumber panel trust spend of $3 million. I'm like, oh, that's cool. How do you buy your lumber? I give my budget to a guy And then he goes and takes care of it for me. I go, do you know what's going on in lumber ever? He's like, not really. What? And I'm
Dream
like,
customer there.
I go, do you know I'm salivating right now? If I had your business and you told me that, I'd be thinking about the next frickin' G-Wagon I'm going to buy off of that one. I wouldn't even be thinking the G I'd be thinking of the Belbus or whatever, that G-Wagon that's like 600,000. And I'm like, who are you giving that business to? My God. Like, and there's a lot of that business out there. So if you are framers out there listening to this right now, you should go put some pressure on the people that you buy from, because we have really low market right now. And we have a market structure on futures where people should be able to give you really cheap numbers going out into the next 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
Now, Matt, what you said about pricing forward, there's already people out there putting $100 under 2x6 104 and 5/8 inch for the end of the year, beginning of next. And that's what I think Gregg meant by scaring people off. And the other thing I've noticed, I'm starting to get the emails where somebody's looking for like 60 trucks of something and it doesn't have to ship till October, November. Can I throw a number on it? And this is where I feel crotchety now and old. I'm like, no, I'm not going to throw a number on it. Like, why am I doing this and what do you want to pay? Right? I'm seeing a lot of the same inquiry 3 days in a row from the same people, from other people. And I'm like, I just I go back and I look at the email from 2 days, I forward it right here. So I guess
You're working really hard over there, Ashley.
But a few things. So I think right now you could go out and take, as you came in the other day, Gregg, and said, one of these days we'll walk in and lose liquidity, right? We haven't lost liquidity yet. You could go out and take as much stupid business as you possibly could. And some markets don't even let you take stupid business. But what I said, the word like right now, we don't have any edge right now, except maybe inventory we own. Whenever everybody wants to go in and make a buy right now, we're all buying the same thing at the same damn price and competing for the same, whoever wants to get the cheapest margin, right? There's no futures premium to hedge anything. There's no edge there. So really what the market's telling me is, don't do anything stupid and sit around and wait for it to give you a signal of what it wants to do. And try to protect the money that you made over the last 6 months, and don't try to go buy your way into something, because everybody can do that right now. And so I don't know what's coming up. Something always does. But in August and September, I think, Gregg, you always say this isn't a surprise. The most positive thing is, even terrible negative news, the market still trades sideways. And as far as futures goes, there's just a lot of sellers out there probably on the fund side. They're all rolling still, right? And Gregg, have you ever made money being long November?
During COVID.
During COVID.
It was and it was stupid. It was stupid money.
And pretty soon the 15 people that have long SEP short and over are going to decide to cover that spread with their 20 or $30 in it. And I don't know if Nove's going to go back out, but this is kind of the structure of the market we got set up, right?
Well, I mean, I'll just say, like, here is the reality is that over the last week, and we always get really in the weeds on futures, which I know like some people glaze over, but it's good. It's more for us to talk about it than anything. But I kind of look as like, hey, there's like 5,000 contracts that were long September and probably long, maybe in the 580s or higher, because we had an $80 1,000 sell off. They rolled to November at even money, and now that positions out another $15 or $20. I'm going to go out on a limb. And like I said, I told Ashley, I'm probably going to be a little more negative than usual today, because I'm not normally a negative guy. I mean, the glass is always half full for me. But technically, on the weekly continuation chart, we broke a major trend line that projects down to $500. And I know that there is.
Wait, did you just say $500?
I said 500. And I don't know anybody that has that in their calculus.
That's 380. Yeah. That's 380 BC mill.
You know, all I heard was blah, blah, blah. I mean, you know, we talk about mill costs, and at some point that always does matter. In November, December, you know, being like a place where there's a lot of losses is going to matter for production. But Matt will tell you right now, mills have all the logs they need. They're going to run. September and October, they're running. They have logs they need to cut. And you got to turn, you know, logs you've paid for, you need to turn those into cash. So, you know, we have probably, you know, better supply coming over the next 30 to 60 days and seasonally falling demand.
Yeah. Yeah. This is not surprising to me.
I hate to be this guy. I hate it.
I mean, I mean, we can quibble about numbers. Who cares what the numbers are? I mean, the numbers are just the end of the year structure, right? The mills have had a really good year overall. They've gotten some pretty good prices this year. Started really early in January. Prices started going up in January. They just kind of kept going up all the way through July. And so, you know, most mills in North America made some money this year. You know, they might have lost some money too along the way, but they made some money for a period of time. And so, you know, they're not going to stop doing what they're doing. The mills in BC, the ones that are still around shipping lumber at 45-cent, you know, tax rates right now, that goes to 35%, we think, sometime in about 2 months.
Could go to 25. Could go to 25% if they eliminate the 10% to 32.
That's fine. I mean, look, I think the damage has been done, right? I mean, I'm a bias here because I do business in Canada and we own Canadian sawmills, so it affects us too directly. It affects you, Greg. It affects our trades.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of friends in Canada. I don't, you know, I'm biased, so I'm not speaking on this from a neutral perspective, but that there is a lot of damage that's been done by these tariffs, you know, to the Canadian industry. Now, some of it's been self-inflicted. The Canadian government hasn't exactly been pro timber here the last 10 years. They're running into some of the problems we've faced in the United States for 35 years now. When you have a government that doesn't really like timber, they don't see the value in it, they make it harder for you to get the logs, and then the log prices go up, and everything starts with the log. If you're a sawmill, that's the number one driver of your production costs is your log cost. So anyhow, yeah, no, I just think that it's going to be, I think the market's going to continue to be liquid. And I don't see running out of liquidity completely where we've had just shut off, you know, unless weather's just tremendously awful, which you can never plan or position yourself based on weather. But it does have an effect on the outflow of lumber, you know, when heavy rains and snow start to fly and, you know, transportation gets gummed up and job sites get flooded out, whatever. That happens in October, November, December, January, and it happens every year. It also affects mill production a little bit. So it kind of is a wash. But seasonally, like you said, you know, we're in the downside. And I think the mills have made enough money this year where they're happy to just, like you said, just keep on pumping it out. And if they have to sell it for less money in October than they did in August, well, that's okay. You know, there's not going to be relief on the mill production side unless something comes out of left field out of Canada.
I did have a couple of emails, Ash, about your tariff question. You know, people say, "Hey, what do you think about going to happen with these tariffs?" And you know, I sent a Giphy of a guy smashing his head against the wall.
Yeah,
and that's my comment on the whole thing.
Your max headroom. Your max headroom on us again, Greg.
Weird. I don't know.
You might want to check it. You might want to take your phone off this suction cup dial-up internet.
Quit downloading porn.
Hey, it must. I don't know what you're on right now. It's not going as fast as it used to. So he switch up on you there.
That's crazy because it's been fine for a while. How's that better?
There you go.
Yeah,
That's
you're
a little
good.
bit. That's a little bit. So, question: right now, if guys are throwing out forward numbers cheap. Hey, if I'm a buyer, a framer, or anything, I mean, what's the downs? I mean, do you think we're approaching? If you say you could see a 500 on November, why wouldn't people put in their shopping list and have an early Christmas this year for what they want to pay for for Q4, Q1 of next year, and just start throwing these firms out to these guys that want to keep throwing numbers on?
No.
Yeah, I mean, and that 500 number may be, after Matt's point, I mean, we may get a reversal today, and it's going to bounce up, and that you may not see that 500 number until October sometime. Like I said, I
Who
could certainly
knows?
build the market size for the next week.
Max is back.
Max is back.
Dave is going to have a lot of editing to do
This is
this
going to
week.
cost a lot of money editing this one this week.
He's got his AOL dial-up going. He's like, what the hell's going on here? He's hitting the red button on his desk.
That's he may be trying to fix that one again here.
Oh man, Ashley, what do you think about what Greg's saying? Since he's lost in the clouds somewhere. He's in a data center in Iowa, like just rolling around in the back. He's doing the back rooms.
What he was saying about the tariff, or which one?
Well, he seems to be a little bit negative. He's talking about $500 lumber. You guys are in the distribution business. How are you going to manage your business on a fall from 660 down to 500?
I mean, I think what you got to do is make sure you get rid of all your your overvalued stuff, right? Which we've been.
I mean, wouldn't you just get rid of everything?
Which you want to do.
Stick with the meat and potatoes, the 9-footers and the 16s.
But my flip side to that is that because of the way that big buyers and big companies are managing their inventory, it's kind of like a slow leak on some overvalued items. And like, as we said, the 2x4 104s, they actually bounced up, and, we bought the whole way down on those. So you never buy the bottom,
right?
Inventory. We're still able to get a slight premium on some items to what the carload price is after you figure in your unloading, loading a truck and shipping. We're still getting paid to do that. If that ever stops, then I'd have a different question, but we're still getting paid to do that. Right.
Yeah. I think you will continue to get paid because I think the inventory holders are going to shrink also. So like the guys that you're competing with, so like you and I on a day-to-day basis, we're competing with national distributors, right? We're competing with regional distributors and wholesalers that put wood on the ground. And then from time to time, we're dealing with opportunists that will just make a play. They'll buy 5 cars of this or that and shove it into a reload and then spin it. And they might do a basis trade. That stuff just kind of comes in and out of the market. But what I've noticed, and I talked about this 2 weeks ago, was that the volume of orders that I'm getting proportional to what I'm quoting has gone up. So at one point a month ago, I was getting, 1 out of every 3 orders I would get. And that was kind of a low hit rate. I realized, okay, well, that means somebody's undercutting me, and maybe I need to sharpen my price up on the next time I get that quote. Right. So it's just information. And then all of a sudden the hit rate goes to 50%. Now it's 75%. So like if I quote it, like I get the order like most of the time right now, which means that the guys that were undercutting me sold their stuff and they don't have anything else behind it. And I think that'll remain throughout the rest of the year. I really don't see a lot of getting long and holding opportunities when you have a downward trending market over a long period of time. And I forecasted early on, I said the second half of the year is going to be much different than the first half of the year. My strategy going forward is to carry less inventory, have less fixed cost risk sitting in my inventory. I'll be an active hedger. Every time the board pops up, I'll probably sell into it. There's not a reason to sell into it now. It's a discount. So what that tells you is just shed your cash, be a sharp buyer, be opportunistic, focus on the items that have value, like what you're saying. The 2x4 9s they're still 2x6 9s, 2x6 10s. things like that. And then all the other shrapnel that you could or couldn't get long on, it better be a hell of a good deal for you to go long on it because, if your strategy is to buy and hold for 2 months, well, the overall market conditions aren't going to they're not really going to be in your favor unless you're a hedger or unless you bought it really cheap on the front end.
And so thanks. You gave me some time to think about your question now while you were saying that. You know, we are talking about Greg was talking about November if it could go to 500. Okay, November contract is December wood, January wood. So it's kind of irrelevant as far as the cash price. And one thing I've noticed as funds and people that are long have, you know, open interest we had some of the highest volume contracts the last 3 or 4 days trading, and open interest didn't move very much. That means longs are now underwater that wanted to roll,
Yeah.
and shorts are piling on and doing it. So here's what I've noticed from being in this industry for a long time. November could go $100 discount to cash, and it would be meaningless unless you did something about it, right? It could do that. You know how we had the big
Well, I
premiums
think,
the other way?
yeah,
It could go a huge discount, and people would just stare at it and say, "Why is it a discount?"
I don't think you, me, and Greg would stare at it because you can
No.
rewind the clock to last September, last November, last January when we were doing all these expits with each other.
Yes.
And I think the low water mark and all of that and all of those transactions plus all the cash transactions that I did anywhere in the United States was like 485 delivered Chicago on 2 and better hemlock
Mhm.
or spruce. Well, if you get down at 500, I mean, it's kind of a green light to just go blindly long and hold because if you take delivery of the November contract, you won't get that wood until Christmas.
Yeah.
And you're setting yourself up for the first quarter, which I mean, I'm truly a believer that typically we're going to get some kind of a decent rally in the first and second quarter. It just happens every year. And I'm willing to take the risk in December and November that I wouldn't take in August or July, right?
And I completely hear what you're saying, and you can appreciate this. If it did go down to 500, we'd probably be looking at each other like, "Oh shit, what do you do?" Right?
Right.
But you'd be when it gets there and you're actually sitting there looking at it. As a distributor, it's always easier to sell the premium and hedge your inventory
Yeah.
because buying it, yes, if you're buying it for inventory or to expit it for sure, buying it where it works better for us when we can forward sell it and people don't have that mindset yet to do that,
I
you
think they're
know?
just too far out,
Yeah,
right? I
I
mean,
agree.
our business is hard to go past 2 months
Yeah,
mentally.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, I I kind of expect 2027 to be very similar to 2026. So I know that that's psychologically speaking, that's just most people think that way. Like
yeah.
and it never is the same. The years are always different for different reasons. But I don't expect the behavior to change all that much. I do expect there to be more open market purchasing going on in 2027 than 2026. I think a lot of these companies that buy lumber from us are being so harshly squeezed on their margins that they're going to try to do anything and everything to even lessen even more their contract commitments. If they can flip them onto a favorable term VMI, then maybe they'll do that. Maybe they'll flip some of their contract commitments over to VMI. But even that, I don't think the mills are as excited about doing these advantageous VMIs anymore.
No, that's a
It's like,
that's a great point. I haven't thought about that, and as a distributor, what we may see, like you just said, is, all we deal in, you and I, when we're trading every day is open market wood for the most part.
yeah,
We do some contract wood with our mills, etcetera, both sides. But, uh, maybe sometimes if there's less, let's say there are less contracts next year, which there certainly could be with the pile of business that we currently have. You and I, we sometimes think we may see more because we're seeing more open market wood trading.
yeah,
And you're right because less contracts and less VMI. I mean, honestly, if you're a mill and you're taking it on the chin from everything from environmentalists to, people trying to change your AVD, CVD, or AD/CVD, all that. No matter where you're at some point, you can't really structure a contract very efficiently because if you have so many unknowns variables going on, right?
Yeah, I mean, that happened with Carrier with me this year. I had a contract with them. We had to cancel it because they're shutting the mill down.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, and even before they shut the mill down, they were having trouble with fiber supply. So, those are unknown unknowns like Greg talks about, and they're real. They affect people.
yeah.
So, and I wasn't the only guy. I mean, they had 15 or so different companies that had to either restructure or cancel outright. And so, it's not a big sawmill. It wasn't like not one of the mega mills, but still it's something. It's just an extra several cars a month I got to go out and buy in the cash market,
Yeah,
which is fine. I can handle it, but it just, you're going to have more cash buyers out there next year, I believe, which I always feel like having more cash buyers is good for you and me.
absolutely.
Um,
You're 100%. That's why
And
we
I
used
think it's
to.
good for the market also. I would like to see a return to more of a laissez-faire capitalist type mindset. I think some of mills, I'm not going to name names, but I think some mills in the last 10 years have gotten away from, let's trade to let's do a program. Let's find a channel we want to ship into. They've become logistics companies and not sales companies. It's like, look, we do that too. Hampton's got channels. We've got logistics. I mean, we've got decisions to make about who we want to sell to, but we have never, ever, and I don't think any really smart company is ever going to just shut off the open market trading. You need
Yeah,
that information, right? So, especially in a market where, let's say, we're flat or down for several months, right? Now that open market business becomes more relevant, a lot more
mhm,
relevant, because you're solving problems for a sawmill that has empty cars.
yeah. Hold on a second. Did Greg just try to make it back on?
I don't know. There he is.
I reset the internet. Hopefully that works.
Oh, cool.
There
Glad
you
you're
go.
back.
Yeah, it's a lot. That's a lot better. We were talking about. Matt brought up a good point. Matt always brings up good points. About the one he brought up was, you know, are we going to see more open market wood next year? Because why? Like Matt said, with his carrier contract, less people are able to do contracts with these so much unknowns out there, right? Maybe, which is great for people like us that trade on a regular basis. It's better for the market overall for pricing structure. You know, I mean, if there's a mill out there doing 70% contracts, they should never report a price because it's like the snake eating its own tail, right?
Well, and I think there's a number of end users that are evaluating their contracts and realizing is that, hey, we'd be far better off to be open market. I mean, like just doing some cost comparisons
Yep.
between what their open market purchasing is like versus the contract, given what we know about the indexes.
You know
Yeah.
what will happen though as a result of that is the same thing that happened this year. You're going to get higher spikes because when the bite is on,
volatility.
right?
You have
Yeah,
more
when the bite
volatility.
is on, the panic sets in, and all of a sudden, all those extra cars that your company needs to buy to cover your commitments that you've forward sold. Remember, a lot of these customers are selling stuff 60 days out at guaranteed prices, so that and when the market starts running on them,
Matt,
ooh,
that
look out,
Matt,
man!
that guy, that guy, that guy that the person I talked to at that thing, he was saying there was only one time in the last like 15 years that somebody didn't want to perform the firm price on lumber they gave him, and it was during COVID. So
Yeah.
this guy's giving him firm orders out there for 6 months. I mean, what do you think like I said, there's a lot of those type of people out there. There's a lot of there's a lot of tasty business in the market out there that people are holding short and have no fear on it. And it's got a lot of margin in it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's, I don't know. I didn't go into that business, but I've known a few guys in that business, and I guess they do fine. I mean, a lot of the margin isn't really made on sticks anyhow. It's made on weird things, siding,
Yeah. Yeah.
melamine, roofing materials, things that we don't really trade. Like we always think lumber is this big deal because we're in the business, but lumber, like we talked about last week, is what, 2 or 3% of the cost of building a house. And
it's a little more than 2 or 3, but I guess
it is
it
now,
depends
but
on
not
what
much.
your land value is. Right?
Hey, let's just double it. Say it's 6%. It's still a minor consideration when you're talking about the whole process of building an apartment complex or a house. And so, hey, anyhow, so Greg, what are your thoughts on the market going into 2027? So we're going to fast forward. We've gone through November. We got down to 500 in this hypothetical situation. We're still at like low 500s in the board, and all the big companies that we were just referencing have decided to reduce their contract commitments and VMIs for 2027. How would you feel about the first half of 2027 with those conditions in front of you as a reality?
I mean, obviously I'm going to preface it by like all the other things going on in the world. I mean, we're looking at our third year of basically kind of a flat level of housing starts. So any like marginal increase in starts in 2027 over 2026 will probably result in a much higher high than people think of, because lots of permanent production lost, and it takes a long time to get get new stuff in. That having been said, that today, I mean, I have a hard enough time worrying about September and October than worrying about 2027. I'm just, I'm just, I'm just trying to, I'm just trying to get this hand better so I can play golf tomorrow.
Hey,
That's really my focus.
Greg,
right
I got
now.
I got a question. I got a question to add on to jump on to Matt's question. The board goes down to 500 November next week. What do you do?
Next week?
Yeah.
Next week.
Yeah.
Next week.
Yeah.
Well, if it goes down there next week, you could probably buy it sub 520 to scale down to 500. You could probably do that and be reasonably safe that your loss is going to be, because the challenge will be there is all the people that are long it at 580 and 560 and that are buying today at buying at 550 and that buy at 540. At 500, some of them may be saying uncle.
Well, no, it would get there because they've already thrown the towel in.
Yeah, those would be the reason why we got to 500.
Yeah,
they would have just cried uncle and said, get rid of them.
But I mean, you'd feel comfortable being long 20 down to 500 on Nov.
I mean, at 500, I'm more comfortable. I mean, I will say that you had the 2024 low in July was 450. So now that was with a like I think an 8% CVD and AD that was going up to 15%, right? So little different dynamic there. So if you want to add 20% to that, that's $90. That's 540. So that the scale down from 540 to 500 is a buy zone.
Do you think the funds that sell have any idea what the cost of production is or care?
Nope.
That's what I was telling Matt. I was telling Matt when you were rebooting, like we could go $100 discount to cash in November, and it wouldn't. Let's say it could happen because
we've seen weird things happen in our business for sure. I mean, all I want to do for the foreseeable future is just keep my inventory lean and mean. Just be opportunistic and try not to blow it. Try not to make any stupid, irrational decisions that, you can slow yourself down when you want to. You don't have to be go all the time. If you want to take a little time to go play golf, Craig, and get your thumb fixed, and you don't need to go out and buy that 20 car block of studs every day and just be busy.
It's funny you said that though, Matt. I know you do it. Greg does it. I do it because Greg does it. Like, you're buying every day, no matter, just on accident, right? Because you're trying to stay in the
Well,
market.
you especially, Ashley, you can get long faster than anyone on planet Earth.
He can buy more lumber in the morning than we can sell in a month.
Yeah, that
I've
cost
seen
me
him do
money
it.
to that cost
I've
me money
seen
to
him do
learn
it.
that you can never buy all of one product.
I love when he goes, "Hey, we could take him off the market." I'm going like, just shut the up.
I don't think I've said that for a while, but
no, you haven't. Thankfully,
although a guy
although you have tried.
although a guy reminded me through somebody else that we sold something to a few weeks ago, that he remembers when I had old wood in Edwardsburg, Michigan. That was like 25 years ago, and he wanted to make sure it wasn't like that. I'm like, dude,
I think it was longer than that.
I almost wanted to
it was
cancel
like
the orders
30
just because
years
of
ago.
that.
No, it
Yeah.
was in 2000, 2001 timeframe. That's when I first started dealing with Ashley.
Yeah, and but I thought that was funny.
because you bought like 2 million feet, and we're selling it, and then you had to go back for the other 2 million.
Yeah, I did. I had to
go back for the other 2 million. We sent Wisniewski over there. He was sorting lumber for a month.
That's funny.
It was so old. There was still ice in it on the inside in like the middle of July or August.
All the first ones were the stuff that was like the newest, right? So we shipping all that up. By the time we got to the last, it was like that was the stuff that was 2 years old.
And just for everybody knows, if you ever remind me of that in person, I'll probably choke you at an event, because sure enough, we're standing around an event and somebody will say that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean,
we've all done it, right? We've all had our catastrophes.
That's like the thing. You build a million bridges and they don't call you a bridge builder, but you.
I think we all know that joke too.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but I mean, here, the senior trader, I just think the thinking that I have is like, it's going to be a rocky few months here, and that's fine. I was prepared for it. My inventory is as low as it's been all year. And I don't know what to do now. Like, I do need to buy some lumber. Literally, if a guy came to me and said, I need to move these 10 cars, I could go ahead and buy 10 cars and just take them to inventory. But do I want to? I don't know.
The challenge now is, that's 9/7 shipping wood that gets in October. And, like this is the conversation Ash and I continue to have. It's like, we want to be at kind of like our lowest operating level that we can get to. But, with the Ford being the huge discount that it is,
you can't hedge. Yeah.
You can't hedge. And it's like, I mean, so we're only buying the things that we need to fill orders and stay in business, because we gotta, we're a mom and pop corner store. We gotta have,
you need 2 before 16s.
We need beer. No, we need, we need beer and cigarettes. We got to have them.
Yeah, no, I get it. And I'm in the same boat. I have actual contract commitments I have to keep up with. So I have to buy some things all the time. And then
I've got menthol cigarettes too, or not?
Zins.
Menthol.
He's got the Zins.
It's Zin. It's Zin now, right? It wouldn't be cigarettes anymore.
Well, I mean,
Zins,
you know what?
Zins
hey,
and blunts.
whoa! No, there's you can still get Cools. You are what you smoke.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, it's going to be different operating conditions for the next few months, because there'll be a lot of times where I don't have what they want, and I've had what they wanted all year, and so I'll just be no quoting a higher percentage of things, and that's okay. Nobody's putting a gun to my head and says you've got to carry a full line distribution menu 24/7, 12 months a year. I have choices to make. Right now, my choices are carry inventory for sport or try to make some money somehow, some way. And so if I'm going to try to make some money somehow, some way, and I can't hedge, my only hedge is sell the high value items like 2x6 and wider, or 2x6 trims, right? Sell them as a to buy at a market price, and then hope to God I can squeeze out a margin on the buy side down the road. So yeah, selling the overvalued items and then buying the undervalued items makes some sense. But right now, even the undervalued items are not that liquid. Like, we've struggled with moving all year long, 12s and 14s. In
2
it
by
kind of
4
blows me away.
12s.
14s were such a great value all summer long, and they never popped. Never. I ended up selling all my 14s at the number 3 in utility price. And I had like 600 units of them at one point. And I'm like,
No,
well, that was a mistake. Why bother? Shit, I could have just not done that at all.
Mhm.
It was a total waste of time and money.
2x4 12s just cannot get off the mat. Cannot get off the mat.
And now 14s are like this. But everybody will pay you a big price for 16s still, and there's still value in 18s and 20s. So I'll just buy the lengths that are liquid that I can't get too hurt on. And if I have to pay more than I want to for straight cars of 16s, but then I don't have to take on a bunch of 14s and 12s with it, well, I'll probably just do that for the time being, and ignore the fluff random cars that you have to buy when you're forced into it, when the market tightens up.
Yeah, so I don't want anybody that when they listen to the pod to like throw it back on Ashley and go, hey, yeah, you guys were really negative, so you could you take $20 off?
Yeah. The thing is, though, I'm not really near as negative as you. I don't see 500 coming, and if it does, well, then great. It's a great buy. Like Ashley and I were talking about this while you were off in cyberspace, that the 500 number was a really safe number to be long at for 4 months last year, right? From let's say November through February. And then we bounced quite a bit. We went up to we got up to almost 700 at one point on 2 before this year. Was that the high of the year?
I think this year's high is in the mid 660s back in July.
So if your downside risk at 500 is $20 and your upside potential is 160, I like that kind of math.
Yeah, and I'm not, and I don't get me wrong. I'm not saying, hey, I'm predicting 500. What I'm saying is, when I look at it, that's a possibility. It's a possibility, and it's more of a possibility in my mind, because I don't think anybody has that in their mindset. And again, this is a futures market. It's a very small pool of players. The cash market is big, broad, and deep, and there's lots and lots of people, and so it's the different.
But when the market sells off, when the market sells off, there seems to be a huge pool of players. Like, everybody talks about it. Like, when it sells off, everybody's like, "Hey, did you see futures?" It's like, do you trade futures? No, but we keep an eye on them.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a price determining mechanism. So, I mean, people should keep an eye on it, because it's, I mean, hey, it's giving you a vision right now of what all the players think that 2x4s are worth.
I'll tell you,
November.
Greg, the little bird in my head says, the last several times we've rallied on cash, it started with studs, and then it went to dimension. And well, we've seen the first thing we talked about at the beginning of the show was studs have gotten significantly better in the last week. So, I mean, do I think we're done going down on 2 before random most species? Yeah, I do, actually. And so, if Mills want to talk about cheap 2 before, I'm going to listen. I mean, it's still liquid. We're still moving a lot of wood. I'm going to be busy. My business will remain busy until early November, and then it slows down significantly for about 3 months, and then it'll perk back up again in February. So there's still 2 months worth of trading for me to go through here before early November. And if I can get prompt shipping lumber in a 3-week transit time, well, I mean, I can spin that a couple times between now and the early November. I'm fine with that. I'll take those kind of odds. I'm not buying 3 weeks out. If the mills want to sell me wood cheap, it's going to be fast wood. They're going to load it, right? So that's kind of my game plan. If there's deals out there on 2 before, buy it. I think buying it now is better than waiting until you can't buy it.
Yeah, well, hopefully we get Charles back next week. I mean, like Pine looks like that it looks like it's bounced off of low trade. We're not in it deep every day to know what that looks like. I mean, I'm talking specifically at least 4 and 6 inch. I think 4 and 6 inch have bounced, and the wides are still under a little pressure. But hey, guys, I run up against the 1 o'clock. I got to hop. Always good. Always good.
See you guys.
Bye, guys.
Cheers. Bye.
Sounds good.